So welcome back to another episode of State of the Multiverse, and this is going to be a very, very different episode. Last year, April 20th, 2021, Leatherman filed a patent in Australia, where in that patent, they detail what the new multi-tool will be, either for this year or for next. And looks like they've been listening, because there's a lot of stuff in here that is clearly showing an improvement. So yeah, let's just dig into it because it's going to be a long one. All right, so this is going to be a very long video because we're going to be summarizing it, but we're also going to be going into heavy detail on the images that are in this patent. I've been looking over it for a few days and I kind of have some understanding, at least, of what it should entail. Let's begin with the tool set. This is, as far as I can tell, it is an identical tool set to the Leatherman Wave with some added features, some bonus features. So we're going to go into what they are, but you should expect, and it's consistent throughout, a serrated and straight blade opposite each other so that a left-hander will be able to actuate a blade by themselves, which is great. It will also have a file. Probably a diamond file, because there's no way they'd be stupid enough not to release it with a diamond file. And the other thing is it will have a dedicated saw. Those are the four outer implements. On the inner implements, it looks like, it's not guaranteed because there's a couple of demonstrations showing they may not include the scissor, but there is a snip style scissor, which I really, really like. In fact, it could be the best scissor that Leatherman has ever created if they get the geometry correct. So really like that. We'll show images of that as well. And yes, bit exchanger, micro bit exchanger, but they've one-upped that. They found a way to install a utility blade, a craft style blade, in the same exchanger as the micro bit. They have done some pretty awesome stuff with this. They also will have a can opener and what looks like a very robust prying tool, with a combination of bottle opener and I'm not sure what else. But that looks like the basic tool set. Basically what you're getting in the Leatherman Wave, just even more so. And every one of these tools will be one-handed capable from the outside. On top of this, everything is opposite the plier, so you're not going to have the finger pinch. I'm just going to summarize the whole thing. You're not going to have the finger pinch. You're going to have even longer implements than they have in the Free series, or they're going to be able to shrink it into a smaller size because the plier pivots are completely different. In fact, the whole plier system is completely different than the Free series. This uses a rubber gasket to allow it to swing freely, and that is gone. It's simplified it greatly. In fact, this whole thing feels like a great simplification of the good parts of the Free series and then putting in a lot of the requests that many have had. So this has the potential to really be a true competitor, a true equivalency to the Leatherman Wave. And that is not something that the Free P4 was able to do. So I think this is worth looking at. All right, so in figure 2, we get to see the opposite side. And the big thing I want to point out here is we are looking at a completely different retention mechanism on the tool side. It doesn't look anything like the Free series pieces, and it looks like they're a little bit longer. We have pivots that are a little bit more robust. Yeah, complete redesign, and there's more images to show that, as well as a completely different set of outer implements. What they're showing in figure 2 is the same basic style of saw and file that we see in the Wave, but with much more access to those tools. There's a complete exposure on the end to both the file and the saw. And they were able to do that because instead of having the plier pivot be on the outer part of the frame, it's actually on the inside. So the saw and the file actually extend past that pivot, meaning that they can be longer than they actually can be in the Free series. This is a huge deal. So they got rid of the complexity that is in the pliers of the Free Series and found a way to extend the length of all 4 of the outer implements. Yes, nicely done. Nicely done. Now let's get into the cool stuff. So in figures 3 through 4, we kind of have a pretty good look at what the tool set might be and pretty much the entire tool. Yes, there's going to be a bit driver for the Leatherman bits. Awesome. You're also going to notice in figure 3A, in the middle between what is the can opener and a scissor, yes, a scissor, is a new tool. And there are pictures of that tool in just a minute. And it's very, very, very good. And probably the best thing that they've added to this. Also, next to the bit driver in 3B, you're going to notice a very robust flathead pry tool combo tool. So I'm not exactly sure what that will have on it. And there's a couple of examples showing it could be a couple of different tool sets. But definitely it's going to be enough space in there to have the bit driver and something else. A lot of space in this tool. Now, if you look at figure 4, instead of the scissor, they actually have a completely different blade. And it looks like more of almost like a scalpel. Kind of interesting. So we don't know what that is yet, but this will all be a one-handed accessible tool, just like the Leatherman Free Series. All right. Figure 5 details the frame itself. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you feel about it, it looks like this will still have a magnet retention. Okay, so that is one of the few drawbacks of this tool, is that it's still going to have a magnetic retention. It's not going to matter to everyone, but if you are still working in a field where there is metal shavings, you may run into a little bit of a frustration in that regard. However, it also shows that they have simplified the frame. Instead of it being a single piece, they have made it into 4 pieces. And this is actually a really good idea because it reduces the costs of the manufacturing. Now, if you look at the Free Series tools, there's basically the same thing, but they look far more complex. And so I think that this might very well reduce the cost of manufacturing this tool, which is a very good idea. They've also dramatically changed the way the plier works and the way it locks. So if you look through figure 6A through C, it'll detail how that plier works. We're going to skip over that. In figure 7, you see that there is actually a pocket clip with this, but it's not showed in any other images. So I just want to point that out. And it looks like it will be attached like kind of how the Leatherman Signal has it, because there's no place shown on this tool for it to be screwed in aftermarket, which is a good thing. It means it's probably going to be coming with the tool itself. Now, figure 8, we get a lot of detail about what it looks like from a cross section. And as you can see, there are magnets located, and that's number 50 in this image. Let's move on. Figure 10B, there's going to be a file on this, and it looks really big. Like really big, and that's probably because it can extend past the plier pivot, which is great. What I'm praying and hoping for Leatherman to include a diamond file, because if this is not a diamond file, they may as well, commit seppuku over here, because they're not going to get people to switch from the Wave unless it's got the diamond file. Just flat out, don't even expect the sales to be good unless it's a diamond file. Just fair warning here. That's going to come up. If this happens and they make this tool and it's not a diamond file, it will be the first thing I say when I see it. Figure 11 through 11C, detailing the mechanism for the serrated blade. We're going to skip over a couple of these and then get to figure 13. And this is probably the most important image of the entire patent, because in the description, it details how they could create a spring mechanism that does not require magnets. And if you look at the tang of this Warncliffe or sheep's foot style blade, there is not a place for the magnet to come in contact with the blade. I am praying and hoping that they go in this direction, that there is no magnets, but they are at least detailing a mechanism that could include not having the magnets. This is a big thing, I think. This image, and in the description, it shows that they may be releasing this without the magnets, which would be monstrous. Then you could literally discontinue the wave. I really believe that. Once you see what the upgrades are, I think you'll agree with me. So in figure 14, we get our first look at the scissors. Now these are kind of like snips, and the way they work is a lot like, let me see if I can find them. Where are they? I don't have them. Anyway, I demonstrated this with a Klein snips in a past video, and from a precision perspective, they work very well, and the length of this blade is very, very long. So even if you can't put a lot of pressure, you can create long and accurate cuts better than most, if not all, of the other Leatherman scissors. This could be a big improvement. And we get to see more of that in figure 15 as well. And also how they've positioned it next to the bit holder in this image. So there's many different ways they could arrange the tool set. But this is the thing, right? This is the amazing tool. Figure 16 and 17 details how they have made an exchanger that not only can hold craft blades, but can hold the precision bit. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. This is real innovation, and I really think this is clever on their part. Having a removable blade means there's a potential for them to even create a version of the tool that has no blades, but yet has a craft holder in the middle so you can take it out. So for non-permissible environments, you could have a tool with no blades except for that craft blade. Very nice. There's a lot of potential here, and from the way it looks in other images, it's thin enough to fit with two other tools in the middle. So really, really good on that front. And then figure 18 and 19 shows really good images of the new bit holder. Yeah, what can you say? Good, awesome, I love it. This is something that people have been requesting since the free series came out, and were disappointed when it didn't have, so good job. Now the rest of the images are detailing the mechanism itself, showcasing how things go together. But the summation here is this: they were not as happy with the sales of the P4 as they really wanted to be. And there's many indications of that fact. This tool shores up many of the problems that we had with the free series P4. And I think it's really, really well done. I think that they will end up being very successful. What I am sad to see is not included is this reamer all micro flathead combination. This is one of the tools that really surprised me and was very, very good, both as a flathead, but also as a reamer awl. I actually thought this was a good tool. And so I would much rather see this than, say, the can opener. I would use the reamer awl far, far more. That's just my personal opinion. But if you're looking from a comparison with the Leatherman Wave, this actually has a tool set that is a one-to-one comparison, plus having the craft blade, plus having one-handed access to all the tools, plus they're all outside accessible, plus the tools are longer. Yeah, it's good. I think it's great. And if it comes with the pocket clip, yeah, could this get people to switch? I think it could. I think it could do what the free P4 could not. The one thing that's going to be a drawback for them will be the magnets. People who work in environments where metal shavings are common are going to have a little bit of an issue with that. Do I think it might be good enough anyway? It's possible. It's possible for a lot of reasons. All of these tools are on the opposite side of the plier, so you're not going to have the pinching problem. You're still going to have good ergonomics. You have what looks like a substantially improved scissor. You have that craft blade, which in and of itself is quite useful. You have the ability to use this as a left-handed individual or a right-handed individual. That's not something the Wave can do at all. And it also appears that these implements, the outer implements, are very long. Like they could very well extend past the lengths of the blades by the wave. So is there enough there to overcome the downside of the magnet? In my opinion, the answer is yes. Now, the one thing we have left to see, well, number one is the final tool set, because even the free P4, which had a corkscrew in it, didn't come with that. So we don't know what the final tool set is, but if they use this frame system, which is almost guaranteed because they don't change that, there are some significant benefits to this tool system. So I'm very curious to see how this pans out. I think it could actually accomplish what they should have done with the free P4. I don't know. Is this a step in the right direction? Heck yes, but this is a year old, this patent. And they could have changed quite a bit by then. But if this is their starting point, and was their starting point last year, I think there's a lot to be excited about this tool coming out soon. And from a price perspective, it's possible this could come in under the free P4 because of the way the frame is designed, because of the lack of complexity in the plier head, because of the simplification of the springs and the assembly. It's hard to say, but you should not expect this to be below 100, and I would not expect it to be above 140. So it's somewhere in that range. Either way, I think this was definitely a step in the right direction. So this is what we have to look forward to from Leatherman. And in my case, in my opinion, this is a good tool. It's a good tool. It would be incredible for it to be equivalent to the wave price of 110 or 100, just under 120. That would be very, very compelling. And it gives them a way to phase out the Leatherman wave. And I know people will be upset about that, but this offers enough positives that I think it can overcome the one negative, which is the magnet, and potentially there's a way for the scissors specifically to be made into a reamer awl in 1/2, so you can actually separate the two sides of the scissor, and that locking section would end up being the reamer awl. There's a possibility they could do that, and then you wouldn't lose a single tool and you gain that full implement. So I don't know where they are with this, but if they haven't finalized it, that would be the only change that I would make in addition to the magnet removal. Yeah, I'm impressed. I think that this definitely puts them in the right direction and gives them a platform that I haven't seen anyone else produce. So there you go. This is just a first look at whatever this new tool is called. And as soon as I have a name, I'll let you guys know. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk again soon.